ことか。
Are you fucking gay?
To bringing you another what if deku was in the Konosuba universe. If you guys would like a full series of this, try to get this video to 2k likes, 200 comments and 2k views so you guys can get the next part of this what if. And without further ado, let's begin. We're gonna start this video off at the beginning of My Hero Academia. This world, Izuku would have been bullied enough for him to not inherit the quirk from All Might, so Izuku would be not in Yuhei High School. But Izuku always had a dark side to him that he never showed off at all. He always wanted to murder his enemies and watch them die in cold blood. But still, all of that, Izuku still wanted to be a hero no matter what he did. So he took up being a vigilante for some people. Izuku got strong enough to handle 3% All Might, but all of that, he still came back with injuries and broken bones. When he healed from them, he consistently did it again, as this made Izuku train a lot harder and harder, as this leads us to now in the present day. Izuku would have been walking out of his house to go to his job, as Izuku would have gone to his job and done what he had to do there, as Izuku would have gone out to the front doors of his job when he finished his shift, as Izuku would have gone to a nearby store to pick up a game he's been wanting for quite a while. You guys can use your imagination here. When Izuku bought the game, as he walked down an alleyway to see a girl getting mugged, as Izuku couldn't stand there and sit there, but he knew fighting crime without a license was illegal. Izuku thought this rule was bullshit. This is why he became a vigilante, to fight back against this rule and become a symbol for those people who want to fight back and can't. As Izuku would have took this upon himself and used a throwing knife and aimed it at the guy's arm, piercing his skin just barely, as Izuku would have rushed in, pushing the guy off the woman, knocking him to the ground. As the guy got to the ground, he used his quirk, shooting knives out of Izuku. As Izuku would have shouted to woman, "Run, woman, run!" Izuku shouted. As Izuku would have dodged all the rest of the knives the man had to offer, the man reaching his limit to how many times he can use his quirk a day. As Izuku would have seen this as an opening, as he would have charged at the man, knocking him clean out with a spinning kick to his head. As a bunch of heroes would have saw this, as they would have rushed in to see what this man was doing, as Izuku thought he had to run, so he did so, because it was against the law to fight back against villains, because it's seen as vigilantism. As Izuku would have grabbed his Game Boy, or anything you would like to do, your imagination is key here, boys. As Izuku would have grabbed his bag as well, running off into the distance. Once Izuku knew he was safe, he stopped running and just sat there panting, out of breath, as Izuku was sitting on a field, just sitting there, just complaining and deciding what he should do right now, because he's probably going to be chased by the police soon for doing hero work, as he would like to put it. "Stupid fucking heroes," Izuku said in a very angered tone. "Why do they have to always end up ruining shit for the fucking community? I don't understand that," Izuku said. As Izuku would have had a flashback to what All Might said. "Kid, just give up. You can't be a hero without a quirk. Be a fireman or a policeman or something. That's something like a noble profession." As we cut back to present day with Izuku having a tear rolling down his eye. "Damn it, I'll prove you wrong, you old bastard," Izuku said in a very angered tone. As Izuku would have stood up and just walked the rest of the way home. The moment Izuku was passing a train station that was all run down and broken, as Izuku saw a little girl on the railroad tracks, as Izuku would have shouted at her, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" Izuku would have said, as Izuku would have seen a train getting ran over to her, as Izuku without thinking would have ran to the little girl, grabbing her and pushing her out the way, with Izuku getting hit full on by the train's momentum, knocking him out or full on killing him with him bleeding out on all over the floor. "Damn it, I'm dying," Izuku said, as his vision faded to black, as Izuku would have sat there taking his last breath of air in, as his vision fully faded to black with his eyes closing. A couple of seconds later, Izuku would have reopened his eyes to see an endless dark void with little white dots on it like stars, Izuku would have thought, as Izuku would have stood up really confused where he was, as he would have saw a chair right into the middle of the dark void, as Izuku would have walked up to it, seeing a bright light come from above. This sort of blinding Izuku's vision for a little second before his eyes adjusted, as Izuku would have saw a blue-haired woman coming down really slowly like some form of angel, and she would have reached the bottom with Izuku's eyes widening, seeing a wonderful pretty girl like this is in heaven or purgatory, you would like to say, as Izuku stood there shocked as the woman finally ascended down, as she introduced herself as the goddess Aqua, and she'll be deciding where he goes. You either go in heaven or you'll be reincarnated into another world, this girl said, as she would have sat on her looking like a throne, or a princess or a queen you would like to say, as she was greeted with 5 or 17 papers, as she gave them to Izuku. Right, just decide where you're wanting to go while I figure out how you died, she said in a very unhappy tone. Wow, someone's miserable, Izuku said, as the goddess Aqua looked over how he died. Oh, it looked like someone wants to be a hero, she said in a very menacing tone. But it's still a stupid way to go, saving someone because you feel like you have to. This makes me laugh, as this royally pissed off Izuku. So you said I can pick anything here I want to go with me, am I right? Izuku said. Yeah, what you want? As Izuku pointed straight at her, saying, I choose you to come with me to the other world as my loving wife, Izuku said. She started laughing at Izuku, thinking this doesn't work like that, kid. It doesn't work like that at all, as another bright light came from above, with another goddess coming down. Your wish has been granted, this mystery goddess said. Wait, what? That's meant to be not in the rules. How the hell is this possible? Aqua said in a very weirded tone, as Aqua ran to Izuku trying to strangle him, but Izuku just dodged straight out the way, pinning her to the ground, as Izuku just waved at the goddess saying thank you very much, as the goddess just pronounced them husband and wife, and I wish you all a happy wedding, she said, as she would have snapped her fingers as Izuku and Aqua would have disappeared out of thin air into little particles. As we cut to, the goddess is still at the point of view, as she would have just read off the papers. Turns out he's not meant to be in that other world. He was meant to be here all along. That's weird, she said. This is a magical marriage, so I think you guys have a really good imagination of what might be happening at this very moment. Just remember, he said loving wife, so you guys have the imagination to figure this out. Izuku! Aqua shouted, hugging his arm, as her breast poked into his arm, as Izuku just smiled as he walked next to Aqua with the moment they arrived in that world. In this timeline, Aqua wouldn't be shouting at him, saying it's all your fault, that type of stuff. In this timeline, she'll be more laid back because she is his loving wife. As Aqua tugged on Izuku's shoulder, asking him can they go somewhere private, she said in a very seductive tone, as Izuku and Aqua both went to a little area where they did hotels. Lucky for Izuku and Aqua, when you start out, you get a semi amount of money, as Izuku and Aqua both bought a room. As the moment they bought the room, Aqua instantly jumped into Izuku's arm as Izuku carried her upstairs in a bridal style. The moment they got upstairs though, the fun begins. The only thing that people would hear is the bed squeaking. A couple of minutes later though, the bed broke, as all of the legs gave in because they've been doing it for around about 2 hours now. Just remember, Aqua's body's damn near perfect, with Izuku's body being damn near perfect as well, since he's worked out a shit ton. Izuku, we broke the bed again, Aqua said, as Izuku and Aqua both cuddled next to each other on the floor. as Izuku brought up an idea that they start to need to work so they can start to pay for the beds they're about to break. As Aqua would have agreed to this, but she wondered what would they be working for, like for a beer company or a bar that they have next door. Let's go for working in that barn so that we can at least get some form of money so we can actually start our beer business. At least that's how it should be, Izuku said. As Izuku and Aqua slept that night, and the next morning they woke up to a knock at the door, this being the landlord of the area that they were living in. They got a couple of complaints about the noise they were making last night. As Izuku opened the door without realizing the only thing he was wearing was his boxers. As he was walking out to the door to see what the landlord wanted, Izuku opened the door as the woman that was standing there looked at him in shock and a bit of lustful eyes. "Wow, you look good," she said in a very lustful tone. As Aqua would have took notice to this, as she would have got off the bed and hugged Izuku's arm from behind. "Excuse me, but he's my man. We got married yesterday," she said. As the next door neighbor or the landlord would have said. "Oh, that's fine then. Just make sure you be quiet from now on," she said, as she walked off, blushing like a mad one. Just like the original, Izuku and Aqua would have worked all day and all night just to try and make ends meet, as Izuku and Aqua would have gotten a better wage because Izuku would have worked harder. Every single night when Izuku and Aqua got home, they instantly passed out on their bed, but they still cuddled nonetheless. During that night, Izuku and Aqua would have woken up to a weird strange noise downstairs, as Izuku and Aqua both walked down to see a man or the bartender being mugged. As Izuku would have walked up to the man asking him if everything's alright here, as the man would have replied saying, "No, he ripped me off," the man said in a very drunk voice, as the man pulled out a knife that is infused with magical energy. As the man would have tried to stab Izuku, with Izuku getting impaled in his thigh, as Aqua would have used her water magic seeing this, shooting it at the man, knocking him back a little bit, but it's still not enough, as Aqua would have fired a little bit more, but it still didn't faze the man, her magic being a little bit weaker after being exiled from the god realm, or being wished into this realm. As the man got closer, as the man said while he was running, "You will be a fine specimen on the market, young lady," the man said, as Izuku just pushed Aqua straight out the way, with Izuku being straight up impaled by the man. As we cut back to Izuku's point of view, Izuku said, coughing up a bit of blood from being stabbed in his middle section of his abs, as Izuku would have been instantly gone limp, dying on the spot like that. As we still in Izuku's point of view here, as Izuku is back in the dark void, as Izuku would have heard, "Why are you back here again? It's only been 4 or 5 days, or even 5 months, even if that," she said. "Well, I got stabbed. Well, what do you want? You gonna send me back to another realm, or what?" Izuku said. "Nah, this was on purpose. I just wanted to have a talk with you about something. Did you know you were meant to be in that realm from the beginning?" "Actually, no, I wasn't aware of that, actually. So, why did you call me back here?" It's just that?" Izuku said. "No, it's not just that. I want to talk to you about something, but it seems that your Aqua is healing you really, really much, so I'm just gonna quickly just give you the rundown through unlocking your memories. I'll see you in a bit, alright?" "Wait, what?" she said as she cast a spell on Izuku, letting energy flow through him, unlocking a bunch of his memories. All his memories from previous life. As we cut back to Aqua, when she defeated the man to be more precise. Izuku, please wake up," she said in a very worried tone. "Izuku, please don't leave me now," she said. During this time, she didn't realize it, but Izuku's body started to grow horns and a big, flat tail, as Izuku just stood up like nothing happened. "Izuku," she said, hugging him really tightly. The moment Izuku was aware of his surroundings, he instantly picked her up bridal style and took her to his and her room, as Izuku said, "Don't worry, I'll be back in just a second. Quickly grab something from downstairs," as Aqua grabbed him by the waist and pulled him into the bed. "No, you're staying here," she said with a pouting face, as Izuku and Aqua both gave up and went to sleep that night. Izuku woke up halfway through the night. Before Aqua woke up, Izuku left the house to pick some things up. This type of thing being a couple of magic potions from a certain shop somewhere in the midtown. "How is it, Wiz?" Izuku said in a very demonic tone, as this girl looked back to see a demon. As she looked straight at him and says, "Master Satan," she said in a very stuttered tone. "Did I stutter?" Izuku said, as Wiz instantly got on her hands and knees and started begging for her forgiveness or his forgiveness. "It is fine, my child," Izuku said in a very demonic tone. "Get on your feet. I need some things from you," Izuku said, or Satan said, as she grabbed most of the things he wanted as Izuku was on his way. Before Izuku stopped, Izuku asked her a question, saying where the nearest portal to hell was, as she replied saying the portal hasn't been open for millennia. "Even if you did try and open it, you probably won't be able to open it, Mr. Satan, because it was sealed by the gods," she said. "These gods and mortals really think this thing can hold me. I'll break through that gate no matter what it takes. I will get onto my throne," Izuku said, as Izuku walked back to the cavern where Aqua and Izuku both were staying, of course. As Izuku returned there and went straight back to sleep with Aqua not realizing, but when she felt something flop onto the bed, she just crawled up next to him and hugged him like a body pillow, as Aqua whispered in her sleep, "Oh, Izuku, I want babies," she said in a very minuscule tone, as Izuku just smiled and rubbed her head. As the next day they finished working, but Izuku still got stares at him, as Aqua would have said to him, "This is normal. Since you got reborn as a demon, everyone here realizes that you have always been like that, so to us it's just basically like you've just been reborn to us, but to them you've always been like that, Izuku," Aqua said. As Izuku and Aqua finished their work that day, as Izuku piled up their entire life savings that they had and added it up to say that Izuku and Aqua can now afford their own living space, as Izuku would have said their plans of what they're going to do, which is buy a beer business and see how much they can get from it, and if they can get rich off it, whoop-de-doo, it'll be perfect, because in this town, beer is a luxury, and if we ended up actually making people buy it for a cheaper price, instead of an expensive price, we're in the gold, Izuku said. As everything went like the original anime, if you guys have watched konosuba, as instead of Kazuma, it's Izuku in this timeline with Aqua. The only thing that will actually be different here is Aqua won't be drinking the products without Izuku's permission, as Izuku would be piling up all the boxes outside their house, getting ready to sell, as Aqua would have asked Izuku if she could have a bottle, as Izuku would have told her later, of course, "Don't worry, baby, I'll make sure my little sweet Petey Poo gets her little drink," Izuku said, with Aqua blushing like a mad girl, as this made her excited. Through that day, Izuku and Aqua both sold their products, with some people not trusting them because Izuku is a devil after all, but they still don't realize he's the Demon King's reincarnation yet, as Izuku sold out of all his beers with everyone still being in line there, as Izuku would have told everyone their beer sold out, but they can come back tomorrow and buy some more, as most of the people there were still happy they can get some tomorrow as well. As Izuku and Aqua both went to bed that night, with Aqua drinking her heart's content of Izuku's alcohol that he saved for her especially. As Aqua drank most of it, her getting a teensy bit drunk off of it, with her moving side to side as she hiccuped quite often, as Izuku would have just helped her into bed, with her just holding onto his neck. "Come join me, Izzy," she said in a very palatable tone. "Okay then," Izuku said, as they both went to bed that night. Next day came around with Izuku waking up next to Aqua fully naked in the bed, as Izuku would have nudged Aqua to wake up, which she did, as Izuku and Aqua both went downstairs to get changed, which they realized something on the notice board saying, "Adventurers needed, the pay's good," the board said, as Izuku and Aqua both thought, it must be an easy way to get money, so, "Aqua, would you like to do it?" Izuku said, as Aqua would have replied saying, "Yeah, actually, the adventuring in this universe, or this dimension you would like to say, actually gained you quite a bit of gold," Izuku said and Aqua said in unison, as they would have tried to go find people for their guild, as they would have gone past the same people just like the original, being Darkness and Megamine, as Izuku would have introduced them to Aqua, just like the original, as I'm gonna talk you through how they meet right about now, as Izuku went to the guild and sat at a doorstep, or inside of it on the table you would like to say, as Izuku would have just sat there with a bunch of papers and 2 signs next to him asking them if people wanted to join his guild, as quite a bit of people came to him because most of them know him as the people who sell alcohol, so of course, boys, they want to get fucking drunk off that shit. Izuku would have seen right through their trickery and persuasiveness, as Izuku would have said no to them. But when 2 people came to them, this being a girl with a witch-looking outfit on with a staff, and a girl who looks like she was in a knight in shining armor type of deal, this being Darkseid and Megamine, as they both introduced themselves and their magical power, with Megamine introducing herself as one of the Darkseid clans, or the Dragon clans, and her magical power is explosions. As Darkness introduced herself as one of the Royal Knights, as Izuku would have just finally said, "For should I or should I not add them?" As Aqua would have tugged his shirt, telling her to add them because those are the only 2 typicants or people who wanted to join who actually meant it, Aqua said. And to be continued, as that's where we're going to leave the video off today. And for the goal, I said in the beginning, if you guys want the second part, I would recommend you guys get that. And for the people who wanted full counter deku, if that will probably be out sometime around about, I would say around about Tuesday, my time in the UK. So I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.